I thought getting a Mac was going to be a good idea. Oh my god, the learning curve. My brain hurts.
Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for Bland Designs and the Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly vlog for Monday, June the 6th, 2022, vlog number 266, and it's day 818 of COVID. And let's just jump right into the things that I have been working on. And that's not the first thing I want to show you. This is the first thing I want to show you. This is the Celtic table runner. It's an in the hoop project, meaning that it's applique that's all been done in the hoop on my embroidery machine. Now you've seen something like this before because this is the second one that I have made. But the reason I'm showing this one to you today is to let you know that I do have a tutorial for those of you with embroidery machines showing you how I made this. Now, these are being used as a decoration on my cupboard doors, and my goal is to actually get each door done with one of these in different color schemes. The first one I made was in sort of purple and silver. This one's sort of in the Christmas colors, red and green, and I don't know what the next one will be. And I don't know when I'm going to work on it next. But I do have a video on the channel about doing this. It was requested by a couple of viewers who want to see how you do this kind of thing. So that's why I made the tutorial. So if you're interested, you can check that out. The link for the tutorials in the show notes below. And this is the quilt that is called With Glowing Hearts. It's a pattern from Northcott featuring their 10th anniversary O Canada collection of fabrics, and it looks nothing like the pattern because I abandoned the pattern. I did not like the way the pattern was written. As you know, I had a lot of problems with it. There were 1/8 of an inch for cutting and just a whole lot of things that I think could have been done better to make their version of this quilt a little easier to do. Now, I did find some videos on the Northcott YouTube channel that they just recently put up where the designer of the original pattern with glowing hearts put up a series of videos showing you how to do each block. But here's the problem. Although that was a great idea, and I wish I'd known about those before I started the quilt, the other problem was she did not follow her own instructions completely. For example, in block number 3, there are mitered corners, and she talks about using this tool to mark it. She never mentioned that once in the pattern at all. So I was very disappointed, and I can tell you this, I will not ever purchase another pattern designed by this particular designer because, yeah, she made something that could have been a lot simpler, very complicated. And it's not just because I am maybe an intermediate quilter and maybe she designed it for advanced quilters. And that in itself, I think, is not a good design principle either, especially when it's using a certain line of fabric from a certain specific manufacturer of fabrics as well. I mean, if you want people, as a manufacturer of fabrics, if you want people to buy your fabric and the patterns that go with it, then I think it behooves you not to make sure that the pattern is approachable for people pretty much of all skill levels. And I still believe that this pattern could have been written, so it could have been done that way. But nevertheless, I didn't abandon the project completely. I just altered it to suit my needs. I mean, I had some of the blocks already made. I had all the fabric cut. So this is what I came up with. Now, I tried various things, especially along those side panels where you see the cascading maple leaves. That is actually a panel from the same line of fabric that I cut in half. And I kind of like the way that turned out. Don't get too worried about one of those side pieces. It looks like part of the border is whiter than it really is. No, they are the same color in both pieces. It's just the way the light was streaming in from my window as to why it made that color shift here on the computer. But I'm kind of happy now with what I designed. It is a busy quilt. And it's going to get even busier because I'm going to throw it on Lucy today and get started on my quilting. And I have picked an edge-to-edge design that is a combination of maple leaves and curly cues. It looks like it's a fairly dense design, so I'm not sure what color of thread I will pick for that yet. I'm thinking I might go gold. I'm not sure because there is gold in this. Again, color shift in the picture that I took here. Um, but I may give that a try and see. But as I said, when I was working out how to put this all together, I had tried a couple of other things to make those side pieces that have the cascading leaves on them. I did other things and I didn't like the way they looked, but I did not get rid of those pieces. I created them into a table runner. So there's my table runner. It hasn't been quilted yet or finished up. I'm going to, for the first time, try quilting a table runner. And I've made some, I had a couple of leftover blocks, so I've made a couple of new pillow cover fronts, decorative pillows. I'm going to throw those all on Lucy because you can and quilt them all at once. See how that works out. That is something I have not yet done. So I'm going to give that a try. Now, another thing, this is not a new project. I made this about a year or so ago, but of course it is Pride month, June, and I swapped out what I had. I had a spring gnome banner on the door. Now I've swapped it out with this my rainbow banner. This one I really like, not just because of the colors. I always like rainbow colors, but my little maple leaves. Those took me a while to make, I remember, and they're all embroidered. And I made each block separately, embroidered them onto a piece, and then I patchworked it into the banner as well. And I think it turned out pretty good, and it's nice and bright and cheery, and of course represents Pride for the month of June. So those were some of the things that I have been working on. Let me switch my screen back. And that takes me to the YouTube channel of the week. And you know that I bought a new computer, a Mac, and of course along with the Mac I bought a editing program for videos called Final Cut Pro. Well, it has a very, very steep learning curve. It is supposed to be the best one for doing a lot of editing. It's an expensive program. I forget what I paid for it, but I did pay for it. And it came on my computer already installed. So I've been playing around with it. I've been watching some YouTube videos, and I'm going to continue to fight my way through this learning curve because I spent the money. I want to use it. And it is a very powerful program. It does all kinds of things. Now, whether I will use many of those features, I'm not sure. You know me, I don't really like editing. But this video you see here today will have been edited on Final Cut Pro. A very simple way of doing it. Usually I do them on my iPad. It's very straightforward, but I'm going to give it a shot on Final Cut. I mean, that's the only way you're going to learn, right? You got to try it out. So, having said that, there may be others of you out there that have looked into getting Final Cut, or you have Final Cut and you are absolutely confused as to how to use it. Well, I'm going to put up a playlist for you. I'm going to talk about that of helpful videos.
As you know, I've just purchased a brand new computer and I went to the dark side and got a Mac. And although I'm very pleased with it so far, I am very frustrated with it as well because some of the programs it had that are built into it, I have no idea how to use. And this is just compounding my learning curve as I try to learn a whole new computer system, let alone some new programs. One of the programs that I ordered for this computer is called Final Cut Pro. It's supposed to be the best editing software out there for the Mac. I did purchase this and it was fairly expensive as well, and it came installed on my computer when it arrived. But I thought, since I had extensive knowledge of how to use iMovie on my iPad and I'd done editing before, that I wouldn't have any problem with this. Well, think again. I'm having a lot of problems with this. So I went off to YouTube and looked for videos showing me how to use Final Cut Pro, and there are tons of them. And now the big problem is picking which one is going to give me the most information that I need at this moment in time without overkill or a whole lot of technical jargon. And there is a wide selection of tutorials. And so, what I'm saying to you, which you probably already know, is if there's something on your computer you want to learn how to do, you don't need to expend money on expensive books or go for document searches on Google. You can do that. But what you might want to check out first is YouTube and stick in the name of your particular program, and away you'll go. As you can see on my screen, there are tons of videos about using Final Cut Pro. Now my biggest problem is going to be, how do I sort out the ones that are best for my needs at this moment in time? It's a bit of a dilemma, but at least now I have the information at my fingertips, which is one of the benefits of being on YouTube or just using the internet in general.
So the link for that playlist is in my show notes below. There's also the link for the In the Hoop Appliqué table runner I was talking about before. My latest Idiot Quilter is linked there as well. I did a little sewing room tour and update. And there is the link to the interview, my last interview I did with Future Cat, a fascinating creator from New Zealand. And there is our latest version of So Chatty, which was basically a mishmash of everything. Now, something else you're going to find in the show notes, and I'm going to talk about this later, are the details for something that's coming up in July called the International Stitch Marathon. And all the details are there, and I'm going to come back and talk about this in a few minutes. So just hang on. But that takes me to looking outside my window, what today looks like. And here it is. Doesn't look much different from last week. It is 7:04 in the morning when I took this picture, so the sun isn't completely at its brightest yet, and it does look like the day might be a little overcast, but you can see everything's nice and green, and it's definitely, although we're still technically in spring, it is definitely more summer looking. And we have had some really nice days last week. It varied. First the week it was really hot, then it cooled down, and I'm not sure what today is. Right now, as I'm showing you this, it's 14 degrees C, which is nice, but 20 degrees and up is considered warm and then to hot. So yeah, that's what the neighborhood's looking like today on June the 6th, 2022. Okay, so what's pissing me off this week? Okay, it is June, it is Pride Month. And if you've ever looked at the initials for the LGBTQ community, and I'm not using all of the letters for it, it's almost got every letter in the alphabet in that. It's just easier to say LGBTQ. In fact, I don't even know why we call it LGBTQ anymore, because it doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't. All of those letters mean nothing. They're labels. And yesterday on Stephen and Walter Live, we showed you all the different terminology there are for people in our society now who probably fall under that umbrella of LGBTQ. It's ridiculous. It has just gotten out of control. Almost every letter in the alphabet is represented somewhere in that long series of consonants. I guess there's vowels in it now too. And this got me thinking, all right, yes, I am a gay man, but that does not define me. A lot of these terms under the LGBTQ title or heading are terms of definition, and I don't like that. I especially don't like it now that there are so many subgroups under the, and I'm just going to say, instead of saying LGBTQ all the time, I'm just going to call it under the rainbow. In reference to the rainbow flag, right? Even that has changed. There are tons of flags now. Everybody, no matter what their sexual orientation is, has a flag now. Again, absolutely ridiculous in my opinion. Now, when I say ridiculous, am I saying, well, it's not good to recognize these different members of the rainbow community? No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is when you start to label something, you assign it specific characteristics. Now, that might be good when you're labeling a plant or even an animal, but does that apply to human beings? I don't think so. I'm a gay man. What does that mean? Well, if you didn't know me, if you'd never met me, and you'd heard that I was a gay man, you'd immediately have a certain grouping of characteristics that you would assign to me before you ever met me. The same with somebody who's lesbian or somebody who's bisexual or somebody who's non-binary or somebody who's transgender. You, if you've never met the person, if you don't know them, then you assign a group of characteristics to that person. We don't all fit neatly into the mold, into the label. And some of these groups, some of these identifiers, people who identify with them, that's how they introduce themselves. Hi, my name is such and such, and my pronouns are. Or, hi, my name's such and such, and I'm gay, or I'm lesbian, or I'm transgender. But immediately, if you're introducing yourself to somebody, they don't know you, they're going to assign certain characteristics to you, and that may not apply. For example, as a gay man, first of all, I would never walk up to somebody and say, hi, my name is Stephen, and I'm gay. Why is that important that you know that? It isn't. There might be certain circumstances that it might be, but for the most part, it is not something. I don't need to identify like that. Now, people in the business community do. Hi, my name is such and such, and I'm the CEO of blah, blah, blah. But even that is a label, right? But in terms of business, that might be important to know, especially when you're in a meeting with a whole bunch of other business people. You might want to know what the ranking is here. But there really isn't any ranking in the rainbow community. Not really. So I don't see why you have to say that. So I don't say I'm Stephen and I'm gay because the word you're going to focus on is gay. And you're going to assume, oh, okay, he doesn't like women. He doesn't like sports. He likes to wear loud colors. Okay, maybe some of them are true. He is very flamboyant. He talks with a lisp. He has a limp wrist. Of course, now I'm picking on the negative characteristics, but isn't that what people often do who don't understand what a certain group under the rainbow are like? They will go to what they've heard, and unfortunately, a lot of those things that they have heard are negative. So they assigned you off the bat, right off the bat. You're not winning any brownie points here. If they don't know who you are and you say you're such and such, you're this, they're going to first of all think of the negative things because as human beings, that's what we often focus on, isn't it? Unfortunately. So I guess what I'm saying is a rose by any other name would still be a rose. Okay? I'm still Stephen. What am I? Oh, well, yeah, I'm gay. I'm also a retired school teacher. I'm also a YouTube content creator. I'm also a quilter. I am also a lover of books. I am also a cook. I am also a 3D printer creator. I'm everything. I'm lots of things. I'm lots of things. Being gay is just one small part of who I am. It does not define me. So, I think we do ourselves harm within the rainbow community to start using labels. Why not just be who you are? It doesn't matter if part of who you are is one of those labels in there, but it's not the be all and the end all. And you are doing yourself a disservice because people come with pre-built in prejudice. And if you are trying to fit in to the mainstream of society, and maybe you're not, maybe that's why you use the label. And there are people who do that. They want to stand out. But for the majority of people, I think they just want to fit in. We all do, no matter what. Then don't make a big deal about your sexual orientation. Just be you. Okay, let's move on to product reviews. So Walter and I went on a little road trip. And if you saw last week's So Chatty, you saw the little video clip that I did of that. But we decided we were antsy, got to get out. So we went for a little day trip to a place north of us called Finland Falls. Finland Falls is a very small community, but it's a cottage community. It's on a small lake, Cameron Lake, I believe, and it's got about 2,500 people in it, except when all the tourists come in the summer, the cottagers, and it swells greatly. But we went up there. We found a place that seemed to be very popular for lunch, sat out on the patio, very civilized. That was nice. The weather was fantastic. It was very warm, very nice day. And this town also had a quilt store called the Little Wee Quilt Shop. So we stopped in there. Of course we did. And I bought a few things, and I'm going to show those few things to you right now. So I bought some fabric. Now, we actually went to 2 quilt stores, and so there is a combination of things here. So for this quilt store in Finland Falls, I bought some backing fabric, which is this blue fabric right here. And I bought a couple of patterns. This is, it's called Twister Sisters patterns. It takes a special tool. In fact, a lady at the quilt store said to me, you know, it takes a special tool. She was a little iffy about us, I think, when we walked in. But she did warm up after a while, especially after we dropped some money because Walter bought some fabric too. And so I bought these 2 patterns. One's for a pillow cover, and the other one's a bag. I don't know what I'll get to them, but I do have the little tool that goes with it. And that's all I bought. But because I spent over $100, she threw in a free fat quarter. Here it is there. Actually, when she said you get a free fat quarter, and the way she said it, I thought she meant the bundles. I saw these bundles of fabric. I thought, you're kidding, you're giving those away? Like, there looks like there's 5 fat quarters in each of those? And yet, no, that was too good to be true. No, it was in another little bin. Basically, yeah, these are fat quarters that were basically whatever they had left over from the bold. There wasn't a great selection in there. Was it worth the drive to Finland Falls to this little quilt store? No. Finland Falls is okay. It's nice, you know, if you want a nice little outing. Yeah, it's right on the lake. It's on the lock, actually. There are locks there. Because the right where Finland Falls is, 2 lakes join up, and so there's locks so the boats can get through to each side of these lakes. So yeah, it's a nice little drive up there and whatnot, but just to go there for this quilt store, you'd be sadly disappointed. Selection wasn't great, although the prices were good. The prices were good in fabric. I think I paid $27 a meter for the wide back, and I think Walter said for the fabric he bought it was $15 a meter. So that's pretty good. So then we traveled on down to another place that's a little closer to us called Lindsay. I've been to Lindsay before, not extensively though, really. But they do have a quilt store there that's been there for many, many years called Appleseed Quilt Works. And I have reviewed that store sometime in the past on the Idiot Quilter section of my channel. So we went in there. It's a nice store. Lots and lots of fabric and really a nice environment as well. Prices are not so nice. It's on the higher end. I bought this 2 meters of this fabric right here, and that was actually one of the cheaper ones at $18.99 a meter. I also bought this kit for making this, and I'm sorry about the glare when I took the picture, but this is a table runner. These are not the colors that are included in the kit. kit was about $35, which is about, that's okay. That's about average price, I'd say, for a table runner kit that comes with the fabrics. And so I'll get around to making that at some point in time. Do I need another table runner? Not really, but I like to make them as, you know, potential gifts. And I bought this ruler, and this is a Dresden plate ruler. And there was something I was looking at the other day, and you needed a Dresden ruler, and I thought I had one, but I don't. So I bought that. I saw it there. So, anyways, yeah, all of this represents a little over $200 worth of stuff. Doesn't look like much, does it, for $200? But that's what you get. So, that was a fun day. Oh yeah, the other thing I was going to show you as well. This is real exciting. Not. It is not a calculator. It is a wireless number pad for my Mac. I was used to, on my other computer, the PC one, it had its own number pad attached to it. This one did not come with that. Now, the one thing that's nice about this, though, no wires. This is a Bluetooth device, and you just charge it up through a USB or whatever, just like you'd charge up your phone or something. I don't think I'll have to charge it up that often because I don't use it a great deal for long extended periods of time. But I like using this when I have to enter numbers into something as opposed to the numbers across the top of the keyboard. I find those kind of cumbersome. So I picked that up on Amazon, and yeah, it's a techie toy. Okay, so that takes me to the 3D corner. And what have I been making? Well, I've been playing around as usual with little... I'm looking for some novelty items. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking they might be things that I can, alter or whatever for future, possibly little Christmas gifty things down the road. So I found these two models, and the snails are kind of cute. Now, the original size of the snails is the smaller one, and the idea behind these is there's little cuts in that shell at the top, and they will hold a sticky note or a note card or a piece of paper or something like that. So, people often have little sticky notes stuck all over their computer screen. So with this, you can kind of stick those notes in the side of the snail, and it looks kind of cute on your desk, I guess. So I did blow them up as well to see if he was like bigger. And yeah, those turned out okay. Now, I don't know if I'm going to develop them into anything that could be a little tiny gift or whatever. I don't know, but they're cute. And then this other one is the Twisted Eiffel Tower, they call it. The little one in front is the first one I made, and just to see how it would print out. And it printed out pretty good. No problems, considering this did not need any supports or anything like that. So I decided to blow it up and make the larger one. And the larger one I used rainbow filament, but there wasn't a frequent enough change in the filament strands to really give it the rainbow effect. So it really only focused on sort of two of the colors in the rainbow. But just a fun little novelty item. And what am I making now? Well, I'm making fabric weights. I suppose you could use them as pattern weights too, but I have this little problem when I'm getting to the size of the quilt, like up there, that's hanging up here. When you get to the borders on it and you're laying it out on my table, it tends to slide off. And so you got to anchor it down so you can, put your border strips on and get them clipped on. So I got thinking about that. I have a hand weight that I use on when I'm doing long cuts with a ruler. But it's kind of cumbersome for this kind of thing. So I thought, I wonder if I could make something that could weight it down. Now, Walter said to me, he has all kinds of rolls of pennies. And the penny has gone out of use here in Canada now for quite a few years now. But everybody's got pennies. And I thought, yeah, I have pennies too. So I could fill something with pennies, and that would serve as a weight. So that's what I'm doing, and they're turning out pretty good. And I'm going to show those and talk about those tomorrow on the Idiot Quilter. So yeah, you can make practical things with your 3D printer. Okay, so that takes me to Blast from the Past trip. This is continuing on our trip in February of 2018. And we hit the wineries with this one. And this will be several parts long. So this is the first part of the Barossa Wineries area. It's kind of like the Napa Valley in the States. It's kind of like Niagara on the Lake vineyards here in Canada, or out in the Okanagan Valley or Kelowna or wherever in BC. So it's just a district where there are quite a few wineries. So here's part one of that part of our trip.
So this morning we have the whole day to explore the Barossa Valley wineries, which allow them to open until about 11 o'clock or so. But we're on our way to the information center in, what's the name of the place? Tanunda. And to check out, what's there. We do want to go to Jacobs Creek. It's probably a very large winery because that's the one that we're familiar with in our own country, and we actually drink a lot of Jacob Creek wines, the ones that we can get, and we can't get that many of them in Canada. But anyways, we'll see what we see here. And there's some place called Maggie's Beer Farm Shop, which our friend Nairu, no, I can't say her name, jeez. Nairi in Adelaide told us about yesterday. She sent us a message yesterday, and you might remember Nairi if you've been watching my vlogs. A few weeks ago, she was one of my featured people. And Nairi has kindly said that on Sunday she will come with a friend, and they're going to pick us up at our hotel and take us to some place for coffee and cake, which sounds very nice. And it'll be really great to meet Nairi in the flesh, so to speak, because we have been carrying on a correspondence for a while now. So anyway, she recommended this place, Maggie's Beer Farm Shop. I'm not absolutely sure what it is, but it sounds like it's food and it's wine and it's beer and I don't know what not. But we're going to check that out today too and see what that's all about. Now, someone asked a question or made a comment on one of the videos about how fast is Walter going, and I think the suggestion was that we're going pretty fast on these roads. Actually, we're not. We are doing way below the speed limit. On a lot of these roads, even with the curves that you've seen, it's 80 to 100 kilometers an hour, and in some cases it's 110 is the speed limit. Now, there's no way, I don't think anybody, I don't care if you're from out of the country or a race car driver or an Aussie, I don't think you do some of those curves at 100 kilometers an hour. But so Walter's generally driving way under the speed limit. And I'll say one thing about Aussie drivers, they seem to be very patient with us. They will overtake us and pass us when they can, but if it was in our country, I have a feeling we would hear horns at what we're doing. So but yeah, so he is not being a speed demon, people. He's being very, very cautious, and you really need to be, because these roads,
well, I'm not used to these kind of roads. I'm used to big, huge highways in Canada, so.
Yeah, we're used to many, many multiple lanes. I
can drive 120 in Canada, but we're on a great big, huge highway. So.
Which is straight for the most part. And here, no such luck with that. So anyways, just to rest assured, he is not being a speed demon. Besides, if he was being a speed demon, I'd probably be sitting here screaming most of the way. I'm just more concerned about this little line to the left and whether or not he creeps over. But the last little while, he's been pretty good about that. Although sometimes with these parked cars on the side, I swear he's going to scrape off a mirror. But yeah, I think we've got the knack, and when I say we, I mean Walter, has the knack of driving here in Australia using in a car that has the steering wheel on the opposite side to what we're used to, and driving on the opposite side of the road. So
in 400 meters, arrive at 66 to 68 Murray Street on the right.
So this is Tanunda, and this is where the information center for the wine gallery is, or the wine valley, and so we're going to go in there and check it out. So this is Natunda. The visitor center. Was it? Tanunda. Sorry again, Australians, for mispronouncing words.
Tanunda.
10 noon. Okay. So anyways, we're going to take a little, we're just in the visitor center, and now we're going to take a little walk along the street to see what we can see. And then you mentioned something about some museum or something.
Yeah, I don't know. 48, 43, 52, 48, 43.
Well, we'll see what we see. And this is the Barassa Museum, which actually doesn't look like it's open right now. Not really sure about that. It's got Barassa and German artifacts in it, so I'm not sure if it's really worth going in there. Just some more of 10 Nunda Lutheran Church. Walter taking pictures. Not much in this little town. What's that? I don't think I had it on. Yeah, I don't think so.
I can't express how much you mean to me, but I can try.
It's beans and cream. Everyday furniture. It's everyday furniture. Oh, amazing. We've got other things in here too. Let's go and check it out. Let's go in and take a look around. Just to give you an idea of a department store here. Lots of things. A little different to what we're used to now. This reminds me of the old days when we used to have Woolworths and things like that. And I don't mean Woolies, I mean Woolworths in North America, which is totally different. But the old style department stores, mind you, this is an old style, this is modern, but the idea that they had everything under one roof. Not like today with the big box stores and things like that, where you have one for kitchenwares, one for bedware, one for whatever. Here they've got everything. So we've wandered off the beaten track, coming down here because there's supposed to be some kind of winery within 7 minutes walking distance from where we were on the main drag. We don't know if this road's taking us to it. I mean, there's a sign here that says this is a BBFM 89.1, but that's a radio station. He's using the GPS on his phone to track this. Meanwhile, some interesting things across the street.
This looks weird because this is what it looks like on the outside. That doesn't look like what it is.
No, that doesn't really look like what this one down here. Of course, you can't see it for the trees. But no, it doesn't look like it's got a big tower-like thing on it.
But that's the same website, 9 Baysdale Road.
Yeah. Is this Baysdale Road?
Well, when I do
Yes,
the
it is.
directions.
Yes, it is. 12A Baysdale Road over there.
Yeah.
So we are lost in Barossa.
You take a walk down there. Can't hurt.
Take a walk down. See, explore the mystery. Remember, we have in our wallets our addresses for home. If you find our dead bodies here in a winery, send us back to Canada. Thank you. Well, that down the road was definitely not it.
Number 14.
Now, Walter's trying to find it on the map.
Baysdale Road.
Yeah, that's the road we're on.
Number 14.
But you don't have an address for it.
No.
And what's it? Where's the number 14 on there?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh. Did it show the railroad track? We came over a railroad track.
Number 14. Baysdale Road. I don't know if that's the railroad track. No, it's not the railroad track. Doesn't show a railroad track on here.
Okay, that's no help. So, don't know where we are. We're lost. Now, this place looks like it could come out of a horror movie. Addams Family. These are kind of different. They look like a succulent. Don't really know. Don't know if they're alive or they're dead. But they're kind of weird. Some more interesting architecture. I don't know if anybody lives in there or what. Walter's gone up the road. Well, that's it there. Well, we didn't go up far enough. So, we have found it. And this is it here.
It looks like it's way over there.
Huh.
I think the entrance may be down here. Well, I got nothing to do.
Yeah. So that takes me to events in the past week. Well, we had an election. No big thrill. We knew the results before we even went to the polls. This is a provincial election. Yeah, Doug Ford got back, and his PCs got back into power with a majority government. So God help us, hell, for 4 more years with that idiot. But you want to know something? There was nobody to vote for. It was a question of, vote for dumb, dumber, or dumbest. The leader of the Liberal Party, I mean, that's who I voted for, because I vote Liberal. I will not vote PC, and I don't care who knows it. But the leader of the party, newly appointed, lackluster, lacks charisma, lacks any strong platform. The Liberal Party was decimated by the last leader of it completely. She sold them out in the last election just simply because she didn't want to run anymore, because she was premier for a while. And they dropped down to, they don't even have official party status. They don't have enough seats. That was from the last election. Same thing happened this election. I think they may have gained 1 seat. But the leader of the party lost his seat. So he is no longer the leader of the party. Well, he is for a bit, but he doesn't have a seat in Parliament or in the legislature. And so they have to find a new leader. And then the NDP, who have been the official opposition, do nothing but bitch and complain. They have all these pie-in-the-sky promises, and their leader just resigned as well. Now, she did win her seat back, but she's been doing this for about 4 elections or whatever, and I imagine she's just tired, and she's probably going on to better things, because that's what politicians do when they leave politics. They've already, made a connection somewhere and become CEOs of some major corporation and make huge salaries. And after all, when you've been in the legislature, I think it's 6 years or so, you get a tidy little pension as well for the rest of your life. So, nice job if you can get it. Really. So, no surprises in this election. we just have to put up with this a-hole who's our premier. Not much we can do about it. In fact, they had a very poor turnout for the vote. Only about 40% of the voting public turned out to vote. That's sad, and that tells you something. I mean, I know I struggled with it too. I thought, why am I bothering? I know what the results are going to be. But I do believe that if you don't vote, if you don't exercise your right to vote, you do not have a right to complain about what's in the government. I have given myself the right to complain because I voted. So, what else happened? Well, I told you about the road trip, and of course, this is the start of Pride Month, so there'll be lots of things out there. Now, we had the opportunity, we could have gone in our region. There was a Pride Parade yesterday, and, you know, I think they have a, you know, celebration, and they have a vendors area and stuff like that. We haven't been in, well, first of all, it hasn't been happening since COVID. This is the first time it's back, but really, they're not that interesting. At least I don't find them that interesting. Now, of course, the big one comes at the end of the month in Toronto, and that's always a crowd pleaser. There's well over 1 million people come out to that. It's just a zoo. It's just an absolute zoo. When we were younger, we used to go. We don't. And they haven't had one in 2 years because of COVID, of course, so it'll be even bigger and wilder. And it is a wild time. Everybody comes out for this, and yeah, nope, I'll watch it on TV if they broadcast it. They usually do. And even then it's kind of boring because these parades are not what they used to be. When I was younger, yeah, sounds like an old man would say this, right? When I was younger, the parades had floats in them, and they were sponsored by a lot of different companies and a lot of different lot of bars and that kind of thing. And now you get 1 or 2 or 3 in it, but most of it is just groups walking. Again, labels. Labels on parade. That's what we should call it. Labels on parade. And I've been in pride parades before, marching in them for various things. And we actually talked a little bit about that. So if you want to hear about the time that Walter and I square danced in the parade, you'll want to check out Stephen and Walter Live for that discussion. So yeah, so that's what the week was. Now, what's coming up? Okay, I want to talk a little bit about that, and I'm just going to find a little graphic that goes along with this. Give me a sec. Okay, so here it is, and it says, you're invited. International Stitch Marathon, July 22nd, 2022, 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time to 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So 12-hour retreat, basically, an online retreat. It's a Zoom event. This has been put together. The main organizer of this is Brenda from Conquering Mount Scrapmore. You will be familiar with Brenda because I have done an interview with her, and I have reviewed her YouTube channel as well. And Brenda also usually makes an appearance at Craft and Chat every month too. So some of you may have actually met her when you've been part of that. But Brenda approached me a couple of weeks ago and asked me if I'd be interested in being a co-host. And I said, sure, why not? Now, there are quite a few of us that are co-hosts, 5, 6, 7, 8, that are all going to advertise this on our YouTube channels up to the date of July the 22nd. So I'm just telling you what this is all about. You will find a description of this event. You will find the names of the co-hosts and their YouTube channels in the show notes below. And that will be in the show notes for pretty much every video I put up for the next 4 weeks, 6 weeks, however long it is before July the 22nd. So you know about it, and you will be able to click on the link to several of these co-hosts to check out their YouTube channels because you may not know anything about them. Now, of course, this is more fitting for me to talk about this more on like So Chatty and the Idiot Quilter because, of course, this is a sewing thing. But all are welcome. Knitters, crocheters, the whole spectrum of textile fabric artists. So all are welcome. Now, one thing I do want to point out is that this is 12 hours long, but it starts at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. So that means for me and for those of us on the East In the Eastern time zone, it starts at 11 a.m. and runs till 11 p.m. And if you're on the West Coast, like out in BC, wherever, it means it's going to start at 8 a.m. and go to 8 p.m. So really the whole idea here of having it in this time frame is to allow people that live across the big pond to get in for part of it as well too. It's difficult when you plan an event like this to, you can't cover all the time zones conveniently. Anyways, I will be there for part of the day. I don't plan to be there for 12 hours. I don't plan to be on a Friday night up at 11 o'clock sewing. And it is a Friday, by the way, which maybe will put the kibosh for some of you who work, again, but that's why the group decided what they decided to do it, have it on a Friday. Now, this is the second one they've done. I did participate in the first one, and it was fun. We had a great time, and I think this time there may be games and things. I'm not sure. But I just want you to know that although I'm a co-host, this is not like my retreat or my craft and chats. I am there to support it as well. And I hope if you've got an opportunity, you can join in as well too. And it's, you don't have to start right at 9 o'clock or whatever the starting time is for you in your time zone. You can come and go as you please. So you'll hear more about it. I intend to on So Chatties for the next few weeks to feature one of the co-hosts. Each of the co-hosts have pretty much put up a little short video, made a little short video talking about who they are and what their channel's all about. That runs about a minute and a half. So I am going to put those into my So Chatty video each week so you can see it there as well. So, oh yes, and if you're interested in this, the Zoom link, the details for it and the Zoom link are in my show notes. They'll be there, as I said, every week until July the 22nd. And it tells you how to get yourself connected into this on the 22nd. Okay, so that's about all that's coming up now. This week, I have no idea what this week's going to bring. Oh, I do have a couple of interviews scheduled, so that'll be exciting. I'll say more about that on the Idiot Quilter episode tomorrow. And yeah, that's it. So I hope you have a great week. Thanks for joining me today, and happy Pride.